The Waddle and Sylvie audio experience.
Everything is blue sky and sunshine. Everything is soft serve ice cream and wine. It's all delicious.
Did you say soft serve ice cream and wine?
Yeah.
Is that a combination?
Ice cream, chillin', ice cream.
Waddle's a bad dessert guy. There's not many things that Waddle's bad at. That's his kryptonite.
Get Waddle and Sylvie podcasts on demand in the ESPN Chicago app or listen weekdays 2:30 to 6:30 ESPN Chicago.
This is ESPN Chicago, WNVP, WTBC, HD2 Chicago, a Good Karma Brands radio station.
Coming up on SportsCenter all night. The Mets put their win streak on the line against the Padres.
2 outs. Payoff. Hit high in the air. Right field. Tatis back. He's not catching this one. Gone. Home run, Mark Vientos.
Coach Prime breaks the silence.
I'm able. I'm strong. I'm ready. I'm still probably about 12 pounds down. I'm going to get that right. I'm going to fill these overalls up like no other. But it has been a tremendous journey, and I'm truly thankful.
Drama off the diamond.
This has been in the making for a long time. Going back to 2022, the contentious labor agreement that was agreed upon. Rob Manfred, at the end of that, said, I haven't had a good enough relationship with players, and I'm going to try and change that. So he's been going around, talking to them, listening to them.
Plus a doubleheader in the W.
That comes off balance, carrying away, and still hits it.
Lulling the defender to sleep off of the bounce with the dribble. And that 6 foot tall can just elevate.
From the worldwide headquarters of ESPN, this is SportsCenter all night on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app. Now, here's Jay Reynolds.
Battling for the top to start the week off. SportsCenter all night, ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM, Channel 80. We went into this week with a showdown in the NL Central. Cubs, Brewers in Wisconsin. But as that was taking place in Milwaukee, the other headline out of Chicago, we learned of the death of Ryne Sandberg, Cubs Hall of Fame second baseman. He had announced a year and a half ago in January of 2024 that he had prostate cancer, but by last August was cancer-free and the chemo and radiation treatments. But by December, he said the cancer had returned and had spread. Monday, Ryne Sandberg died surrounded by his family at his home.
I'm a baseball player. I've always been a baseball player. I'm still a baseball player. That's who I am.
There was a certain elegance beyond his greatness and toughness to Cubs Hall of Fame second baseman Ryne Sandberg. There was a regal quality to the way he swung the bat, the way he caught a ground ball, the way he ran the bases, and the way he always carried himself.
Make a great play. Act like you've done it before. Hit a home run. Put your head down, drop the bat, run around the bases. Because the name on the front is a lot more important than the name on the back.
He is one of the greatest defensive second basemen of all time. He won 9 Gold Gloves, second only to Roberto Alomar's 10. Sandberg once held the record for the most consecutive games without an error, 123, by a second baseman covering 584 chances. No second baseman was better at making the turn on the double play than vanishing before a base runner could crush him. Sandberg became an offensive force in 1984 when Cubs manager Jim Frey convinced him to pull the ball as often as possible.
That was definitely a turning point for me, and I just feel like I've learned what he was talking about. Things have come together the last few years as far as swinging for power.
Sandberg won the National League MVP that year, which included what is known as the Sandberg game.
In a left center field and deep, this is a tie ball game.
On June 23rd against the Cardinals, he went 5 for 6 and hit game-tying homers in the 9th and 10th inning against brilliant closer Bruce Sutter.
Look out! Do you believe it? It's gone!
Leading the Cubs to a 12-11 victory. In 1990, Sandberg led the NL in homers with 40. He would finish with 282. He also stole 344 bases. He and Hall of Famers Joe Morgan and Craig Biggio are the only primary second basemen in baseball history with 250 homers and 300 steals. Indeed, Sandberg could play the piano and move it too. The greatest number 23 in sports history is, of course, Michael Jordan. One of the greatest number 23s in baseball history is another Chicago icon, one of the greatest players in Cubs history, Ryne Sandberg.
Over his 15 years in Chicago, there were just 2 postseason appearances. Fewer opportunities back then as well. No wild cards, for example. But Sanders had impressive numbers. He was the National League MVP in 1984. So how will he be remembered? ESPN analyst Eduardo Perez.
One of the greatest second basemen of all time, and in a generation where when we were young, it was the superstations, right? WTBS, it was WOR New York, and it was WGN with Harry Carey, and it was Ryne Sandberg right there, right in the middle, in the thick of things. And to his left was Leon Durham. And to his right, you could say it's Sean Dunston. There's just so many of the greats that were there with him. Jody Davis behind the plate. It was Ryne Sandberg who made us all dream because he looked like the average guy that can hit home runs, hit 40 in 1984. The team was excellent. We got to see it in the afternoons at Wrigley, and he was that neighborhood guy. He really personified what playing in Wrigley was all about in the daytime. And for so many Cubs fans, this is one of the saddest days in Cubs history, along with Ernie Banks and Let's Play 2, because those two are going to be now accompanying each other in heaven. And I'm telling you right now, this is one of the great second basemen defensively that I had ever seen man that position. And people sometimes said, well, it was because the grass was thicker there at Wrigley. Well, he did it at home, and he did it on the road as well. He will be forever missed.
The way that he could turn the double play, his ability with the bat to hit the home runs, how do you think he impacted the game as a whole?
He was one of the gentlemen of the sport. And I think when you look at a face of Major League Baseball in the mid-'80s, it was Ryne Sandberg, one of the guys that you had to look up to. You had to look up to because he was the one that really identified with, again, the average Joe that loved the game. And in the Windy City, in Wrigley, Ryne Sandberg was the guy, just like Steve Garvey was the guy with the Dodgers in the mid to late 70s. It was Ryne Sandberg in the mid-'80s that was the person that you wanted to identify with. And the beauty is that I have a personal outlook of it because I got to see him at the Otesaga Hotel in Cooperstown when, my dad was also inducted into the Hall of Fame, and all those weekends, those Hall of Fame weekends to be around. And every time you see Ryne Sandberg and used to see Ryne Sandberg, it was a breath of joy that one was able to look at. And I was always looking at him thinking, wow, I just remember those calls of Harry Carey saying one more for Rhino. And this is definitely a truly sad day for the Sandberg family, and the Sandberg family includes all of the Cubs family in Major League Baseball.
Cubs chairman Tom Ricketts saying Sandberg will be remembered as one of the all-time greats in nearly 150 years of the Cubs franchise. The Cubs say they'll wear a special jersey patch to commemorate Sandberg for the remainder of the season. Somber evening for the Cubs franchise on Monday. The team woke up Monday with a share of the lead in the NL Central with the Brewers. As for game 1 of their series this week in Milwaukee, the Cubs had a 3-0 lead.
1-2 pitch. And a fly ball left center field. This is well struck. This is gone! Andrew Vaughn! His 9th of the season, his 4th as a Brewer. And the Brewers lead it 5-3.
6:20 WTMJ, 5-3 lead there. The Brewers go on to double up the Cubs 8-4. They take over sole possession of the division, just the 5th time this season. They finish the day alone in first place in the division, all 5 since the All-Star break. Jacob Misiorowski, 4 innings of 3-hit ball, gave up a couple of runs, struck out 7. Cubs, as mentioned, led 3-0. They are now 47-5 this season when leading by at least 3 runs. In Minnesota, Twins and Red Sox came down to the final at-bat.
The pitch swung on and looped into left field. That has a chance. It finds the grass. Picked up by Duran. 1 run scores. Here comes Willie Castro. He'll score. And Brooks Lee, on the same day his buddy gets traded to Detroit, ends up celebrating a walk-off victory over the Boston Red Sox.
Treasure Island Baseball Network. It's a 5-4 win for the Twins. Their 8th walk-off win of the season, tied with the Red Sox for the most in the American League. Red Sox on the losing end of this walk-off. Red Sox a Major League high 10th walk-off loss and 6th of the season when leading the 9th inning or later. They fall at Minnesota 5-4. Red Sox falling on the road. So do the Yankees.
And now the 0-2. Line into center for a base hit. Diaz is around third. He'll dig for home, and he will score. Aranda goes to third on an 0-2. Josh Lowe with a base hit up the middle, and the Rays take a 3-2 lead.
620 WDAE. 4-2 Rays with the win over the Yankees. They snap a 7-game road losing streak. Was the longest active road losing streak in baseball. Their 3rd straight win against the Yankees, time for their longest win streak in the series over the last 5 seasons. Yankees fall to 11-19 in division matchups this season. Rays pulling out in front with that RBI single. We heard Orioles, meanwhile, using the long ball.
Little throws. And that is golf. Deep left field. Looking this one back low. Perfido. It is up, and out of here. A 2-run shot for Laureano as he takes Little deep. And the runs keep on coming for the Orioles tonight. 15 now on the year for Ramon Laureano. A 5-run O's lead. It's 9-4.
It would be an 11-4 win for Baltimore. Orioles hitting 4 homers, all at the bottom of the order. 6, 7, 8, 9 hitters in the lineup, all responsible for the 4 home runs. 3rd time in franchise history, each of the bottom 4 hitters in the lineup homered. First time it's happened since 1985. Blue Jays lost 10-4 on Sunday, 11-4 on Monday, losing back-to-back games for the first time since mid-July. Orioles with the 11-4 lead. Sports Center all night. ESPN Radio from baseball to college football. Some candid discussions from Colorado coach Deion Sanders Monday, but while he says he had to have surgery to remove his bladder, there is good news. He says since the surgery, there have been no traces of cancer.
I'm truly thankful that God is so good. God is so good. You have no idea. You have no idea how good God has been for me to be here. You have no idea. Thank you. Thank you both for everything. Let me add this for all you people that get upset when I start talking about the Lord. I never once through this whole journey said, God, why me? Because I would have to say, God, why being you sitting me up here in front of these wonderful people? Why you give me the position of the head football coach of the prestigious university? Why you allow me to father 5 wonderful kids? Why you give me these relationships with these wonderful people? Why me, Lord, did I have some of the things that I have? I can never say that. I can never say the other side because I'm going to have to ask that. I said, Lord, whatever it is that you're doing, let me know what it is so I could expedite the process because I know you got me.
Deion Sanders, candid moments on Monday at the podium. He's 57 years old, says he didn't reveal the seriousness of the situation to most of his family and closest friends. He's essentially been out of the public eye in recent months, except for Big 12 Media Days this month. Monday, talked about his faith, his recovery, desire to continue coaching, the challenges of having his bladder removed. ESPN analyst Roddy Jones.
It was sobering, and not just Coach Prime talking about his health, but his doctors talking about what the prognosis is if it's not detected, if it hadn't been detected due to a routine checkup to make sure that his blood clots were good. I think it underscored so many things. One, the positivity that Coach Prime has through it all and the purpose with which he lives his life. It has been on full display with the way that he said he approached this cancer. And then secondly, the importance of early detection. I mean, he talked about the fact that had they not seen this cancer at this time, then we could have been talking about a much different press conference and a much different gathering. There's been so many examples over the years. Steve Sarkisian, the head coach at Texas, is a great one. went in for a routine checkup. They discovered a pretty catastrophic heart condition that he had to have surgery on and have repaired. And obviously he's gone on. That was when he was at Alabama, and he's gone on to coach Texas and live, more importantly, live for himself and his family a lot longer. So I think Deion Sanders sharing that testimony, that sobering, very open, transparent look into what his life is like, just underscored the need for going out, getting detected, going to the doctor, and living with a purpose, because that seems like it has driven him through all of this.
You talked about the power of positivity, and he said there was never any doubt that he was going to come back to coaching. Obviously, you cover this game every weekend. What are your expectations, you think, for Colorado this upcoming season?
Well, on the field, I think they've established a winning culture, which was one of the most important things to do last year. In terms of expectations, Brian, it's the Big 12, so I really don't know. The team that was picked last in the Big 12 in the preseason poll last year won the league. So I think realistically for Colorado, you're looking to follow up on a 9-win season with another season where you're competing for the championship. And I think defensively, they certainly have enough pieces to continue on the momentum that they built a year ago. Offensively, that's where the questions are. They lose their top 4 receivers. They lose Shedeur Sanders. They lose the Heisman Trophy winner, Travis Hunter. They bring back some production at running back, but a new offensive lineman. So there's a lot new. The thing is, he's got a great staff. Pat Shurmur, former NFL head coach, who's the offensive coordinator at Colorado now, did a great job with that unit last year. So expectation-wise, I expect him to compete for the Big 12 championship. But it's the Big 12. It's wide open. Who knows? The line between 9-0 in the Big 12 and 0-9 in the Big 12 is pretty thin, because those are close games, and these teams seem like they're all competitive.
This will be the first season Deion Sanders does not coach a high school or college team, with Shedeur Sanders at quarterback. Kicking out the commish. That's next. SportsCenter All Night continues. It's ESPN Radio.
The traditions, the rivalries, the drama.
Every week there was something magical.
This is the most wide open college football season we've had ever.
25 days until week 1 kicks off. College football lives here. ESPN Radio. More SportsCenter All Night coming up next.
Carmen and Yurko.
Building off that bourbon analogy, like obviously when I put it in my barrel, it's not going to be ready in 6 months.
Right.
To Chris's point, like you can go into the rick house, take the bunghole out.
What?
That's what it's
What's
called.
going on here?
That's what it's called. You can taste the whiskey.
Oh, he's tasting it now.
Are there people that go right from the hole?
Yes.
Get Carmen and Yurko podcast at your favorite pod place or on the ESPN Chicago app. Carmen and Yurko, weekdays noon to 3, ESPN Chicago.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6759. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-6759. That's 800-575-6759.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
I'm Tom Waddle.
Whatever he's accomplished in life, he's done it because of Tom Waddle. He's done it because of the effort he put into being a football player, for one thing. If you're talking about full-out speed and blazing talent, no. But how do you measure the heart and the will of an individual? And he had that. So if you have the heart and the will, that's going to propel you to do things a lot greater than this guy who has these flexy muscles and stands around and gets his ass kicked when the ball snapped.
Hear Waddle with Sylvie.
Now, weekdays 2:30 to 6:30 on ESPN Chicago.
Mama, what does the chicken say?
Chicken. Oh, okay.
When wolf?
Oh, a wolf.
Ooh! What about the tiny dog? Cat. Ow! dolphin? What does the turkey say? Whale.
Yeah, whale sound.
Do the giraffe.
Giraffe, really? Okay. Giraffe. Giraffe.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff, like making sure your kids are buckled correctly in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right.
Visit NHTSA.gov.
/ the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
If you miss a show or an interview on ESPN 1000, you can hear it anytime, anywhere through the all-new ESPN Chicago app.
Listening to Sports Center all night on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app. Now, here's Jay Reynolds.
Sports Center all night is presented by Progressive Insurance, with insurance for cars, home, boat, motorcycles, RVs, and commercial vehicles at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com. Baseball caps? Sure. They're a staple. Salary caps? No way. That point was apparently hammered home rather emphatically in the Phillies clubhouse. ESPN insider Jeff Passan.
Rob Manfred met with the Philadelphia Phillies last week. And look, he does this with every team, all 30 every year, tries to go around and get players' perspectives. And about a half hour or so into the meeting, economics came up. And Bryce Harper essentially said to him, don't be talking about a salary cap. Walked into the middle of the room, went nose to nose with the commissioner and said, if you are going to be talking about a salary cap, you can get the bleep out of our clubhouse. And look, this has been in the making for a long time. Going back to 2022, the contentious labor agreement that was agreed upon, Rob Manfred at the end of that said, I haven't had a good enough relationship with players, and I'm going to try and change that. So he's been going around talking to them, listening to them. But the emergence of the salary cap, both through owners' comments as well as the public perception that it's something that baseball needs because of the disparity in payroll, is something that players just simply are not going to stand for.
The CBA runs until December 2026, year and a half from now, but multiple owners have stumped for a salary cap in baseball. MLB, the only major men's North American sport that does not have one. The Players Association obviously vehemently opposes a cap.
I think on one hand, Rob Manfred didn't stand there and take it. He shot right back at Bryce Harper and said, I will be in this clubhouse and we will have this conversation. And frankly, these are the difficult conversations that need to be happening in order for labor peace to continue. We all remember the 1994 strike, canceled the World Series. It was a problem, and there is fear throughout Major League Baseball, both on the player side and at the league, that it is going to go down the same path. Now, Rob Manfred has not said he is going to lock out the players upon the expiration of that collective bargaining agreement. But at the same time, there's the expectation that that's going to happen unless things really change drastically between now and then, particularly if MLB owners insist on a salary cap.
Speaking with reporters prior to the Phillies game against the White Sox on Monday, Harper did not dispute the published descriptions of the confrontation he had with Rob Manfred. As for the Phillies on the field, they went into Monday's matchup against Chicago, having won their last 4 against the White Sox. However,
the 2-1. Robert hits a fly ball toward the corner in right. Castellanos is back, and it's gone. 2-run shot, Robert. It's 4-2.
That one just kept carrying. That left the bat look like a fly ball, catchable, maybe at the front of the warning track. Not the case.
ESPN 1000 as the White Sox go on to a 6-2 win over the Phillies. White Sox snapping their first win in 3 games. Back-to-back losses prior to Monday's win. They're 7-3 now since the All-Star break. Phillies, meanwhile, they have their 4-game win streak against the White Sox come to an end. Nationals, a 2-1 win over the Astros. For Washington, a 3rd straight win, longest win streak since the end of May when they won 4 straight. Astros, 5th straight loss, tying their longest losing streak in the last 4 seasons. It's their longest this season. They scored exactly 1 run in 3 consecutive games. Longest streak with 1 run or fewer since 2023. SportsCenter all night, ESPN Radio. To the WNBA, Wings, a 92-82 win over the Liberty. For the Wings, their first win without trailing this season. The game they led by as much as 30 points. Arike Ogunbowale with 20 points, career-high 14 assists, tied a franchise record for assists in a game. Ogunbowale becoming the first player in WNBA history with 15 points and 10 assists in a half. Had 15 and 10 in the first half. Paige Beckers had 20 points, 6 rebounds for Dallas. Beckers and Ogunbowale's second game this season where they each scored at least 20. Storm and the Sun.
The bench is excited. I love Gabby Williams' intensity and energy on the bench. They all want it. And you see the chemistry on this team just filter through one another.
And there it is. The first ever triple-double in the regular season in the career of Skylar Diggins.
11 points, 12 rebounds, 11 assists. Second triple-double in Storm history. Storm a 101-85 win over the Sun. Skylar Diggins played about 23 minutes.
Skylar, you got your first career triple-double in season. We know you just did it a couple of weeks ago at the All-Star game, so we know what you're capable of doing. But with your teammates excited down there, just kind of talk about what that moment was like for you.
Yeah, I think it's really awesome. Obviously, I get to play with a lot of talent. You don't get 11 assists without the ball going in the basket, but really liked our floor game today. Gabby got us started attacking. Nneka was attacking, being efficient. We saw some opportunities in transition, and, this is our fourth time playing against each other, so we had a good sample size. Come on now.
You got to amp her up, you will. You know what? You have talked about playing with Nneka and how incredible she is. She had 26 points tonight. Just kind of continue to show her and give her flowers.
Absolutely. I mean, she's one of the best in this league and has been ever since she came in this league. And the fact that she continues to get better and is playing some of the best basketball she played in her career, it's inspiring to work next to her every day. It's motivating to see the time that she puts in her routine. It makes me go harder. And, we're going to keep going until they kick us out of this league.
Storm with the 101-85 win over the Sun. Nneka Ogwumike, 26 points in the win for Seattle. What can we expect prior to the deadline? That's next at ESPN Radio.
What's up, kiddos? Clinton Yates here. Coming up on Tuesday, we'll rank the top 5 defenders in the NFL and react to the Deion Sanders medical press conference. That's Tuesday on Clinton and Friends at 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Carmen and Yurko.
Yurko's like the only guy who somehow is not putting money in Jeff Bezos'
I've never flown in his flying penises that he had. They're odd-shaped.
Yeah, they are.
Phallic-like symbols.
It's like something out of Austin Powers.
I have no want to go out of the atmosphere.
Really? To say you went to
space? Even if it was free. I don't want to go there. I'm happy on Earth.
Get Carmen and Yurko podcasts at your favorite pod place or on the ESPN Chicago app. Carmen and Yurko, weekdays noon to 3, ESPN Chicago.
Lanny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to my computer career.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu.
It worked for me, and I know it can work for you.
This is one student's experience. Individual results vary.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place for changes big and small. Loud or quiet, find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay. Things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Hey, this is David Kaplan. I love the heat. Give me 90 degrees and a chance to be outdoors, and I'm a happy guy. But when you step out of the heat and into your home or business, I totally appreciate being able to control the temperature to make everybody comfortable. My friends at Atomatic keep your AC system running its best no matter what Mother Nature throws at us. And if something were to break down, Atomatic can help find the best system for your space and have it back to the perfect temperature in no time. Go to Atomatic.com. That's Atomatic.com.
I don't think anybody ever expects to hear that their child has cancer. It's always one of those things that happens to somebody else. But it definitely feels like your soul is sucked out of your body when they tell you that it's your baby. I I knew that St. Jude was a children's hospital. I knew that no one ever received a bill from St. Jude, but I in no way understood how amazingly and completely they take care of their patients and their families. When we first got here, Hunter was in an incredible amount of pain, and St. Jude gave him the most superb care. Childhood cancer is devastating, but childhood cancer is beatable with St. Jude. To any of the donors, I would say bless you and thank you, because without the donors, St. Jude wouldn't be here.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Cap and Jay Hood, morning 7 to 10 on ESPN 1000, Chicago's home for sports.
You're listening to Sports Center all night on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app. Now, here's Jay Reynolds.
Sports Center all night, taking you to 6 o'clock Eastern Time. Evan, Canty, Michelle, unsportsmanlike each weekday morning, 6 to 10 Eastern, here on ESPN Radio.
Half-hour headlines on Sports Center all night.
Twins walk off the Red Sox in Minneapolis. Rockies get past the Guardians 8-6. Rockies cashing in as a plus 230 underdog. They were the longest betting odds to win on Monday. Angels a 6-4 win over the Rangers. Texas having its 7-game win streak come to an end. Baseball world, meanwhile, mourning the death of a Hall of Fame second baseman. Cubs great Ryne Sandberg. Sandberg was born and raised in Spokane, Washington. He was selected out of high school by the Phillies in the 20th round in 1978. Winter of 82, wound up being traded to the Cubs after his major league debut in 81. In 81, he saw action in 13 games, 1 hit in 6 at-bats. Then he was traded in 1982 to the Cubs, and in 15 years in Chicago, he hit .285, 282 home runs, drove in 1,061 runs, and had 344 stolen bases. 10-time All-Star, 9 Gold Glove awards. So how will he be remembered? Our Mark Silverman from ESPN 1000 in Chicago.
The way I always put it, we all have our first love, right? We all remember the first time, the first girl that we liked, or the first time we heard a great band song. It takes us back to when we were kids, when things were bigger than life. Before the 85 Bears, before Michael Jordan took over in the NBA, because he was drafted in 84, there was Ryne Sandberg in his MVP year in 1984. When I was 12 years old entering the 1984 season, I never knew it was possible for the Cubs to win. And this wasn't as a cynical kid who never knew it was possible for the Cubs to win. I literally thought that it wasn't even part of the equation. We would just go to Wrigley Field, we would get to watch baseball in the daytime, and the Cubs would always stink. And it was just our lot in life, and we loved it. And then in 1984, when that season happened, it wasn't just a year in which they won. It wasn't just a year in which Sandberg had the Sandberg game against Bruce Sutter. It wasn't just a year that he won the MVP. It was the year that Cubs fans finally got hope. You know, like I always heard from my parents about Ernie Banks and Billy Williams and Ron Santo. And this was mine. And what they never did was go to the playoffs. So winning in 1984 was the first time in 39 years that the Cubs had been to the postseason since World War II. And from there, Wrigleyville changed forever, and it became the party atmosphere that you guys see today.
As a ball player, how respected was he amongst the other legends in Major League Baseball?
Well, I think he the utmost respect, and because, you know, and when he was inducted 20 years ago in 2005 into the Hall of Fame, that was one thing that he talked about was respect, because the way he did it, there was never, ever any questions around Ryne Sandberg, even though he had redefined the game. Like, the way I like to look at Ryne Sandberg is sort of the same way I look at Scottie Pippen in Chicago sports. They were guys ahead of their time. Ryan Sandberg was the same way as a second baseman. Before, it was the slappy hitter who would play second base, and he would hit like 245, but he'd move the runners over, he'd bunt every now and then, and maybe steal a few bases. Ryan Sandberg, as a second baseman, redefined the way a second baseman and some of the other infielders were viewed. He started hitting for power. He led the league in home runs one year. So these are the types of players we see today. No longer are the second basemen like they used to. They all sort of look like Ryan Sandberg.
Cubs and the baseball world mourning the loss of Ryan Sandberg. Cubs on the field in Milwaukee, losing to the Brewers 8-4. Brewers taking over sole possession of first place in the National League Central. As for what we can expect for them by the end of the month, now that they're battling for the division, ESPN insider Jeff Passan.
Because these are two good teams. and it's exciting to have a race in Major League Baseball where there frankly aren't a whole lot. And what the Brewers have done this year with Jacob Misiorowski and with Freddie Peralta and with a lineup that doesn't have a whole lot of star power in it, but is just really solid from top to bottom, and seeing the emergence of the Cubbies on the north side, Pete Crow Armstrong, Matthew Boyd's been fantastic, Kyle Tucker as well. These are two good baseball teams. And what it could come down to ultimately is who makes the best deal at the deadline. And the Milwaukee Brewers just traded for Danny Jansen, bulking up their catching behind William Contreras. A2 Cubs?
Baseball trade deadline coming up in a couple of days. And as for what we can expect,
I'm not going to say chaos, because there still aren't any really big names that we know are going to get traded. But what we do know is that Eugenio Suarez is very likely to be moved before the trade deadline, and he is the prize right now. The Chicago Cubs are in on him. The Seattle Mariners are in on him. To a lesser extent, the Cincinnati Reds, Philadelphia Phillies, maybe the Detroit Tigers in the mix. But look at the numbers right there. 36 home runs, has a chance to get to 50 this year, and has been absolutely phenomenal. And look, there aren't a whole lot of other impact bats out there right now, but really it's starting pitching that teams are going to look at. And Mitch Keller, a guy who's got 3 years and $55 million left on his contract. Sandy Alcantara, another couple years as well. Those are the guys, long-term pieces that you can keep. And go back to the Arizona Diamondbacks for the short-term starters. Both Merrill Kelly and Zach Gallen are going to be free agents, and there are a lot of teams out there looking for guys, whether it is the Cubs, the Yankees, the Mets. You can go on and on. Everybody needs pitching, and everybody needs high-level pitching, because once it comes to October, you absolutely cannot have enough.
Baseball's trade deadline coming up at the end of the month. It's this week, a couple of days away. Sports Center all night, ESPN Radio. Back to the diamond. Pretty good one, except when you're on the mound and a line drive comes back at you.
That kind of thing generally has an expiration date. 0-2 bounce off of Cease. It kicks out to foul ground third base. Dillon's holding the back of his head. Lindor going to try for second. Machado's throw a little bit wide of the bag. Cronenworth's tag is not in time, and now everybody coming out very quickly to check on Cease. Padre athletic trainers were coming out onto the field before Lindor even slid into second base. It'll go as a double for Lindor, but everybody's attention is on Dillon, who is telling everybody there he's okay, but he was clearly holding the back of his head after that batted ball struck him.
Took a line drive off the back of his head in the third inning. Wound up staying in the game. Said he was okay. Pitched 4 1/3. Gave up 5 runs on 5 hits, 5 walks, 9 strikeouts as well. As for the offense in this one,
2 outs. Payoff. Hit high in the air. Right field. Tatis back. He's not catching this one. Gone. Grand slam. Home run. Mark Vientos. 5-1 Mets in the 5th.
Mets having that 5-1 lead. 880 ESPN New York. Game would tighten up, though, and in the 9th inning,
the righty's pitch. Swing and a drive. Deep right center field. This one is on the way. Gone! Ronnie Mauricio again. Game-tying solo home run off Robert Suarez. It is 6-6 in the top of the 9th. This kid is on another planet.
Mets get the grand slam in the top of the fifth. Padres had answered with 5 in the bottom of the fifth. Mets tied it back up at 6 in the top of the ninth. That brings us to the bottom of the ninth.
Gregory Soto will deal. And Diaz lines it into left field. Here comes Nimmo, has to play it on a hop. Iglesias rounding third. Here's the throw to the plate. No shot. And the Padres walk it off. Elias Diaz took Dylan Cease off the hook in the fifth with an RBI single. And now he takes Suarez off the hook in the ninth as the Pods walk it off on a wild night against the Mets and win it 7-6.
7-6. Padres walking it off at home. Bottom of the ninth, a night where they had 14 hits. Hit number 14 is the game winner in the bottom of the ninth. Pirates a 6-5 win over the Giants. Pittsburgh's won 6 of its last 7, outscoring their opponents 31-12 during that span. Mariners and Athletics.
Here's the stretch by Sears. A look back at Williamson. The pitch to Cal, swinging a line drive, base hit into left field. Williamson to third, being waved in. Up with the ball is Soderstrom. The throw to the plate on a hop, not in time. Williamson with a head first slide scores from second. RBI single for Cal Raleigh. Listen to the Mariners fans here in Sacramento tonight. It's now the Mariners 3 and the A's nothing.
Seattle Sports 7:10 a.m. Mariners, the 3-1 win. Cal Raleigh 2 for 4. The RBI you heard, his 87th of the season, tying Gino Suarez for the most in Major League Baseball. Raleigh extending his streak to a season-long 8 games, tied for the second longest of his career. Rangers putting their win streak on the line against the Angels.
Here's the delivery. This is lifted in the air, and this ball's hit well out into right center field. It's out by the wall, and that one is out of here. Rengifo connects. Angels' third home run of the night, second in the inning. That's a 2-run shot. Angels add on, and now it's 6-3 Halos.
6-3 there. They hang on to win it 6-4. Angels winning 3 of the last 4 games following their 4-game losing streak. Rangers' 7-game win streak comes to an end. Jacob deGrom taking the loss, 5 1/3 innings, giving up a season-high 5 earned runs, striking out 8. First loss since May 26th. Braves a 10-7 win over the Royals. It included a 468-foot home run from Ronald Acuna Jr. in the 3rd inning. Kansas City, 14 walks issued, matching a franchise single-game record. Can also score via the long ball if you're the Dodgers.
Here's an 0-1 pitch. And Ohtani belts one to center field. That's going to get down and go to the wall. Rojas will score. Betts is on the run. He'll touch third, turn and come to the plate. And it's a 2-run double for Ohtani. And the Dodgers lead it 3-1.
AM 570 LA Sports. Dodgers go on to a 5-2 win over the Reds. LA 3-2 in their last 5 after going 3-11 in their previous 14. Shohei Ohtani 1 for 3 with the double, 2 walks. Extends his hit streak to 9 games, tying a season high as the Dodgers get the win over Cincinnati. Sports Center all night, ESPN Radio.
Sports Center, 50 states in 50 days.
We going coast to coast. We going coast to coast.
On ESPN Radio.
You like potatoes? Of course. Stereotypical when you talk about Idaho. That was the focus. 50 states in 50 days.
In 1928, Idaho was the first state to feature a graphic on a license plate. Can you guess what it was?
No.
The potato.
Of course. The famous
the
Idaho
damn potato. Idaho sells, not only does Idaho produce over 32% of the country's potatoes, they grow up to 27 billion of them every year.
How about they sell 70% of the U.S.'s supply of trout? And they produce 41 million pounds of trout per year.
Hey, you want to go fly fishing? Head on out there.
You strike me, Ian Fitzsimmons, as a salt of the earth man, someone who grew up right in the wheelhouse of this man, Evel Knievel. I've got to think you're an Evel Knievel fan. That he meant something to you, a young Ian Fitzsimmons.
He did his famous jump in 1974 in Twin Falls, Idaho. I did not know this. When he jumped the Snake River Canyon, the jump didn't work. Parachute didn't exactly go. There's still a statue right there.
Right there, Twin Falls. There you go. Evel Knievel. How about this little tidbit? On August 13th, 1896, Butch Cassidy, the Sundance Kid, and the Wild Bunch Gang robbed a bank in Montpelier, Idaho, where they allegedly got away with $7,165. It is the only bank in the country still left from Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid from their spree of bank robberies.
I love that.
If you've never watched Butch Cassidy, the Sundance Kid, with Robert Redford and Paul Newman, you ain't living.
Hey, Idaho, most whitewater river miles of any U.S. state with over 3,100 miles of whitewater river rafting.
Legendary. Tara, that's another good one. I used to guide on the Snake River. Remarkable. And there's another couple. I didn't know Harmon Killebrew was from Idaho.
I had no idea.
The Hall of Famer, baseball player. I had no clue. None.
And then Jake Plummer, Jake the Snake.
Jake Plummer, former quarterback, Idaho native. Also a guest earlier here on ESPN Radio.
Last year was phenomenal to watch Bo Nix. Again, another kid that was fun to watch throw from the pocket, and also was really exciting to see when he got out of the pocket. And the position has kind of evolved into, not only someone that can throw the ball, but definitely someone that's an athlete and can go get you 5, 6, 10, 30, 50 yards and be that dual threat that isn't so rare as it was back when I was playing. It's almost rare now to be that prototypical stand-in-the-pocket guy when you got these defensive ends that are fast as hell. You better be able to move now in the league as a quarterback, and it's been fun to watch that position evolve.
Have to be able to move as a quarterback, but what about moving forward with some assistance from behind?
I actually really hated the quarterback sneak because back in that day, they could totally tee off and take shots at your head and neck, where now it's almost like unfair to let the quarterback go dive in there because, if you hit him too hard, you could get in trouble. And I didn't really care for the sneak. If I had to, I would do it because I'd do anything for my team. But, yeah, the tush-push is strange. I didn't have a tush like Jalen Hurts, though, man. I was only pushing maybe 200 pounds, Jalen's got that running back legs and hips, man. He is a specimen, and it's been really fun to watch this kid get benched in the NCAA championships and then come back and still come after it, and then even in the pros be doubted. You got to love an athlete and a leader and a guy like that didn't let all the naysayers steer him wrong. He just went out and played and stepped up when he had to, and he really was brilliant last year.
Jake Plummer, native of Idaho, earlier on ESPN Radio. Straight ahead, how contentious will it be over the next year plus? Sports Center All Night continues at ESPN Radio.
We are on September 2nd moving to ESPN Radio, which is also my roots, I'm proud to say.
The return of Rich Eisen.
To be able to go back to where my career started was something that I never thought possible.
September 2nd, weekdays from noon to 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio, ESPN Plus, and on Disney Plus. More Sports Center all night. Coming up next.
Carmen and Yurko.
Building off that bourbon analogy, obviously when I put it in my barrel, it's not going to be ready in 6 months. Right. To Chris's point, you can go into the Rick House, take the bunghole out.
What?
That's what it's called.
What?
That's what it's called. You can taste the whiskey.
Oh, he's tasting it now.
Are there people that go right from the hole?
Yes.
Get Carmen and Yurko podcasts at your favorite pod place or on the ESPN Chicago app. Carmen and Yurko, weekdays noon to 3, ESPN Chicago.
Actual price will depend on product and subscription plan. Featured products are compounded drug products, which the FDA does not approve or verify for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. See website for details, restrictions, and important safety information.
Want a boost in and out of the bedroom? Hims has you covered. Introducing a new 2-in-1 approach to level up your game. Tadalafil for better bedroom performance and zinc for testosterone support. Put it all together and you've got what you need to turn things all the way up. Getting started is simple. Just go to hims.com/joy to start your free online visit. Through Hims, you can access ED treatments including pills, chews, and more. 100% online. No office visits, no pharmacy lines. Just fill out a simple intake form and a licensed medical provider will determine if treatment's right for you. If prescribed, it ships free and discreetly to your door. Find affordable treatment options at up to 95% less than brand names at hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy, HIMS.com/JOY.
On from Professor Carmen DeFalco.
Not too many people that can have sports knowledge and also whiskey bourbon knowledge.
Carmen's amazing. I do like whiskeys and bourbons. Still kind of a novice, and he helps me understand a little bit better what I should be looking for.
I'm a hardcore bourbon guy, and I listen to Carmen Yurko every day.
He can pull out the very essentials that I can't even taste.
Stay tuned for details on the next session of SCU, an ESPN Chicago production.
The more you listen to your kids, the closer you'll be. So we asked kids, what do you want your parents to hear?
I feel sometimes that I'm not listened to. I would just want you to listen to me more often and evaluate situations with me and lead me towards success.
We're not adults, so just be there and listen. I just want someone to yap to. And I just feel like I'll be fine if someone just hears me talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk.
You're doing a really good job. And I don't think I tell you that enough. And I know sometimes we get into it and it's just hard on both of us. But try to understand me more and I'll try to do the same.
Listening is a form of love. Find resources to help you support your kids and their emotional well-being at sounditouttogether.org. That's sounditouttogether.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and Pivotal.
Chicago's home for sports is in your home through your smart speaker. Just ask Alexa or Google to play ESPN Chicago.
You're listening to SportsCenter all night on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app. Now, here's Jay Reynolds.
SportsCenter all night presented by Progressive. Good news from Deion Sanders on Monday. Says he's cancer-free after having surgery to remove his bladder when doctors discovered a tumor there. He did admit, however, that it has come with a life adjustment.
It's a whole life change. I can't, and I'm going to be transparent, I can't pee like I used to pee. It's totally different. And she not only is a blessing, but she provided other persons that have gone through what I've gone through so that I could talk to them and get some solace and understand what I'm facing, not just from a doctor, but from another individual. And to have been told, it's a totally different life. I mean, thank God. I depend on depend. If you know what I mean. I truly depend on depend. I cannot control my bladder.
Deion Sanders says, despite that, doctors have proclaimed that his cancer is cured. Major League Baseball has a CBA in place through essentially 2026. But Bryce Harper, Commissioner Rob Manfred, went at it in the Phillies clubhouse during a meeting last week, showing that exchange means there's already tension. ESPN's Tim Kirkchin.
Bryce Harper is a smart guy, a level-headed guy, and I think this speaks to where we are in the labor talks right now. We're a year away from any serious labor talks, and already there is tension between the two sides, and that's not a good sign. I covered the 81 labor negotiations, the 81 strike. That was really bad. So I have some history in this, and anytime I see a player going after the commissioner like this, it's a disturbing sight, and it just, again, speaks to the big difference there is between the two sides right now. There's time to fix this, but we have to keep working on it no matter what.
Talks may be contentious. As for on the field, we still have top sounds with Nick DeLuca.
SportsCenter all night.
Oh, my goodness. Check it out on SportsCenter tonight.
Today's top sound.
How good is that? Are you ready to take?
Number 5.
All right, Jay, good day on the diamond. Reds and Dodgers tied in Cincinnati until Shohei Ohtani delivered on AM 570 LA Sports.
Here's an 0-1 pitch. And Ohtani belts one to center field. That's going to get down and go to the wall. Rojas will score. Betts is on the run. He'll touch third. Turn and come to the plate. And it's a 2-run double for Ohtani. And the Dodgers lead it 3-1.
Number 4.
White Sox and Phillies, Luis Robert getting a pitch he could handle on ESPN 1000.
The 2-1. Robert hits a fly ball toward the corner in right. Castellanos is back, and it's gone. 2-run shot, Robert. It's 4-2.
That one just kept carrying. That left the bat look like a fly ball, catchable maybe at the front of the warning track. Not the case.
Number 3.
Blue Jays and O's battling in Baltimore. Ramon Laureano helping pour it on WBAL.
Little throws. And that is golf, deep left field. Looking this one back low. Perfino, it is up, and out of here. A 2-run shot for Laureano as he takes Little deep. And the runs keep on coming for the Orioles tonight. 15 now on the year for Ramon Laureano. A 5-run O's lead. It's 9-4.
Number 2.
Tigers trying to get back on track against the D-backs. Andy Ibanez had the big swing on 97-1 the ticket.
Fly ball left field off the bat of Andy Ibanez to start the 4th. Gone! 3rd home run of the year for Andy Ibanez. How about this return?
Let's go.
A double, a home run. 3-0 Tigers in the 4th.
Mama, here come that man again. 77 is back.
Number 1.
And JR, top sound of the night from Milwaukee. Brewers and Cubs battling for the lead in the Central. Andrew Vaughn adding on 620 WTMJ.
1-2 pitch. And a fly ball left center field. This is well struck. This is gone! Andrew Vaughn! His 9th of the season, his 4th as a Brewer. And the Brewers lead it 5-3.
Jacob Misiorowski struggled out of the gate, allowed 5 base runners in the first inning, but none over the final 3 innings, retiring the final 10 batters he faced. But it was during the game that we also learned of the death of Cubs Hall of Famer Ryne Sandberg. On Sportsmanlike, we'll have much more reaction this morning. They're up next. I'm Jay Reynolds. Back tomorrow with SportsCenter all night. It's ESPN Radio.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming up Tuesday, last year I told you the Dolphins would regret the Tua deal. A year later, I'll tell you why I was absolutely right. It's Unsportsmanlike, weekday mornings at 6, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
The Waddle and Sylvie audio experience.
What are those guys' names? Siegfried and Roy. One of them's gone. They both died. Are they both done? Yes, sir. That's another name or names. When you're younger, you always got it mixed up when you heard it. Siegfried and Roy? I thought there were 3 of them. I thought there was Sig. I thought there was Fried. And I thought there was Roy. I'm like, where's the third dude? Oh, I just got cramp. I got a laughing cramp.
If you missed something, get the podcast on the ESPN Chicago app.
Or listen live daily 2:30 to 6:30. ESPN Chicago.
If something happens to you, what happens to your family? Will they struggle financially? Will they be able to afford the home you built together? With Ethos, you can get life insurance coverage in minutes. Get up to $2 million in coverage for as little as $2 a day. All online with no medical exam. Just answer a few health questions. Get your free quote at ethos.com/game. That's ethos.com/game. Rates may vary. Billed monthly. Sample rate 10-year term life policy for a 35-year-old healthy non-smoking male.
The greatest stories aren't found in books, or films, or folk songs. The stories that truly bring us together are found in ESPN Fantasy Football. Stories of late-round love and first-round heartbreak. Tales of Hail Marys and Monday Night Miracles. Chronicles of punishments. Oh, the punishments. Friends growing closer than ever through the power of humiliation. It's all here. And while the football might be fantasy, the stories, very real. Download the ESPN Fantasy app, sign up, and write the story of your season.
It's been a real journey since 2014 when I first had my injury. I realized that my home was just not working for me and that it was time to ask for help. Homes for Our Troops is really giving me my life back. The shower allows me to go in and turn around with my chair, pull down storage racks, automated door systems, hours of my morning given back to me. Adaptive sports are a huge part of my life, a huge part of my healing journey as well. Homes for Our Troops helped with making sure that I had a home gym so that I can continue to train. This past year, I was able to host Thanksgiving in my home. And And it was the first time I was able to have my whole family in one place, and I was able to contribute to the meal. There are a lot more veterans in need, and Homes for Our Troops is going to be there to help them too.
Homes for Our Troops builds and donates specially adapted custom homes nationwide for severely injured post 9/11 veterans and enables them to rebuild their lives. Join our mission at hfotusa.org.
James was diagnosed at 3 months old with neuroblastoma. We went from thinking we had a healthy 3-month-old little boy, all of a sudden he had this super serious cancer. It was heartbreaking. He had chemotherapy until he was just under a year old, and at that point he was in remission.
Went that way for a year and then relapsed February of 2023, and here we are 1 year later finishing up treatment, hopefully.
The research is extremely important. The treatments that they're developing here get shared with all the doctors to help treat children worldwide.
It's contributing something like one more piece of the puzzle to curing this horrible disease. We all want the same thing. We all want our children to live, have long, meaningful lives.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
This is ESPN Chicago, WNVP, WTBC, HD2 Chicago, a Good Karma Brands radio station.
Unsportsmanlike with Evan Canty and Michelle.
Unsportsmanlike. Lee in Alabama, 107.5. What's up, Lee?
Morning, guys. I got to weigh in and say that not following Michelle Smallman's advice is like hanging out with Warren Buffett and not investing your money.
Okay, welcome to the show. We are Unsportsmanlike here on ESPN Radio. ESPN2, we are presented by Progressive Insurance. With insurance for cars, home, boat, motorcycles, RVs, and commercial vehicles, 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com. Alone, Michelle Smallman, Chris Canty, Evan Cohen with you. I didn't understand that caller. You think I'm smart enough to figure out how to figure out financials and everything like that? It's too hard for me already off the beginning of the morning here. And we've been up for hours, but like understanding all that stuff, way too difficult for me. Good morning, everybody. How are we doing today after, we'll get to it, a horrific day yesterday around everywhere, basically.
Yeah, it was a rough day in sports yesterday, that's for sure. A lot to get to, but good morning. Happy to be with you guys as always.
Cece, good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I like the shirt. Cece's had a couple of good days in a row here of very, very nice dress.
Good colors.
Like the purple shirt he's got rocking today. He had this, what color would you describe your suit yesterday?
Magenta?
It was excellent. Excellent. Looked great
blue shirt.
on first take. Very good day for you. A very good couple of days for you in terms of the fashion. I'm just saying.
I appreciate that, sir. Thank you.
Maybe you don't want the compliment
Is
from
that
me.
making you second guess what your outfit choice is?
Right.
You're going to change now?
It's not a good place to live when Evan Cohen is complimenting my wardrobe.
Yeah, I don't know.
Don't feel great about that.
That's
really?
Right.
Yeah, no, I don't, sir.
Okay.
If Smallman said it, it'd be one thing. For you to lead the top of the show with that,
I did compliment the suit yesterday, too, though. I thought it looked great.
Yeah. Yeah, my wife hates that suit, by the way.
That's what you said. That surprised me. I love that. I thought it looked so good on TV, too.
She feels like it makes me look like a car salesman.
No, Pat.
Yeah, Pat said I look like a swanky realtor looking to swindle somebody out of cash.
To sell a multi-million-dollar condo in New York City.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He said I had
Good
that look
commission.
going, don't want to be that guy.
Sorry, you look terrible then. I don't know what you want me to say. All right. Yesterday was awful, honestly. Like, no joking around on this one. Obviously, our thoughts and condolences to the horrific shooting in New York City, 345 Park Avenue, which happens to also be the NFL offices. Just a terrible situation. 5 lost their lives. Just totally unfortunate and unnecessary and just horrific and heartbreaking. That's real life. That's horrible. Real life also affected the sports world yesterday directly with the passing of the Hall of Famer Ryne Sandberg, the phenomenal Cubs second baseman, and our buddy Mark Silverman, Waddle and Sylvie, ESPN 1000 in Chicago, was on game night last night here on ESPN Radio and discussed the importance of Sandberg to the Chicago sports fan and his passing at 65 years old.
We all have our first love, right? We all remember the first girl that we liked, or the first time we heard a great band song. It takes us back
to when we were kids, when things were bigger than life. Before the 85 Bears, before Michael Jordan took over, there was Ryne Sandberg in his MVP year in 1984. When I was 12 years old, I never knew it was possible for the Cubs to win. We would just go to Wrigley Field. We would get to watch baseball in the daytime, and the Cubs would always stink. And it was just our lot in life, and we loved it. And then in 1984, when that season happened, it wasn't just a year in which they won. It wasn't just a year in which Sandberg had the Sandberg game against Bruce Sutter. It wasn't just a year that he won the MVP. It was the year that Cubs fans finally got hope. You know, like I always heard from my parents about Ernie Banks and Billy Williams and Ron Santo. And this was mine.
Excellent commentary there from Sylvie. And it's funny, last week I tuned into ESPN 1000 in Chicago. When Hulk Hogan passed away, Jonathan Hood, Jay Hood, was on with Waddle and Sylvie. And Hood knows everything there is to know about wrestling, and I was curious to know his perspective on it. And Nick Friedel was filling in for Waddle. And they were talking about childhood, I don't want to say heroes with Hogan, but childhood larger-than-life figures. And they literally last week diverted immediately away from Hogan and went to Ryne Sandberg. Because they're like, this is the guy.
Yeah.
This was the guy in that town that was larger than life. This was the guy that was a class act in the way in which he treated people. And it's almost like, I feel like around our age, a little bit older, everyone growing up in New York that was a baseball fan, favorite player was Don Mattingly. Everyone.
Yes.
Everyone's favorite player was Don Mattingly. Just like everybody's favorite player now here is going to be Aaron Judge, or in LA it'll be Ohtani or Mookie, or something like that. This was everyone's favorite player. And it was favorite player because of what he was on the field and what he was off the field.
Well, he gave Cubs fans something to be proud of. And as Sylvie just outlined, it was some lean years if you're a Cubs fan. You would go to Wrigley to watch baseball, but you didn't expect a whole lot from the team as a collective. But Ryne Sandberg was dominant. He was amazing. He was something that you could be excited about and something that you could be proud of. 15 seasons with the Cubs, a 10-time All-Star, 9-time Gold Glove Award winner, 7-time Silver Slugger. As we mentioned, that 1984 NL MVP, which ultimately resulted in a Hall of Fame career. And growing up in St. Louis, obviously Cardinals Cubs, we had that heated rivalry, and so many people growing up always talked about Ryne Sandberg. I know kids that are named Ryne because of Ryne Sandberg, because their parents were Cubs fans, and he was, as you mentioned, Evan, such a larger-than-life figure that they wanted to immortalize him by naming their kids that. And anything you read about him is just a reflective of the person he was, not just the player he was, about what a hard worker he was, what a good teammate he was. And this is a big-time loss for Cubs fans and for baseball as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, he's the quintessential player when we start talking about what 80s and 90s baseball was all about. And I wonder whether or not we're ever going to see that particular type of player being valued. Great overall player, displays all 5 tools, not necessarily going to hit it over the fence every single at-bat, but always going to put together quality at-bats. It's not going to have the raw power numbers, but it's just going to be really, really solid, and then beyond that, be great in the clubhouse. I'm not sure that you're going to be able to see that kind of guy have the type of longevity that Ryne Sandberg did. You're only talking about having 2 seasons where he was north of 30 home runs. That's it. That doesn't exist in today's baseball. That's not what's valued. So it's fascinating to see how the game changed, but still fans today having that appreciation for what his overall legacy meant to the Cubs and what his legacy meant to Major League Baseball on the whole.
Well, as we're conveying sad news, tragic news in the case of the horrific shooting in New York yesterday, as well as the passing of the icon that was in Chicago and all across baseball, Ryne Sandberg, amidst the bad news, there was some good news, specifically with Deion Sanders, who called a press conference with his doctors yesterday for noon Eastern time. Nobody knew exactly what it was. Obviously, he knew it was medical, because why would he bring his doctors to a press conference? So you knew something was going on. And Deion Sanders announced yesterday that he battled and already beat bladder cancer, which is just remarkable. And Deion provided a message to everyone yesterday.
Get checked out, because it could have been a whole nother gathering if I had. I'm thankful. It's been a tremendous journey. It's been tough. I think I dropped 25 pounds. I was like a Atlanta Falcon prime at one point.
In addition, this whole last couple of months, as he's fighting this and ultimately beat this, well, his family had some pretty big things, and his two sons were getting ready for the NFL, and Shedeur and Shiloh with the Browns and Bucks, respectively. Here's Deion on whether or not he included them in this process.
It was some scenes that you saw, all the bull jump that transpired on draft day. It wasn't just that. It was just I knew as well I had a surgery coming up. My sons to this day don't know what transpired. I just told them something with my foot. Again, because I wanted them to focus on making the team and not focused on dad.
Every time he speaks about real things, and every time his kids speak about real things, it's just like, people don't like this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are we being serious? Like, he even came out and talked to Michael Irvin yesterday about how Shedeur called them and was like, don't come to Browns camp. I'm not ready for that. I need to prove. Every time you hear something, you're like, inspirational. That's right. I need to apply that to my life. And we're going to just hate on this guy and this family?
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly a sports angle because there aren't very many figures in sports larger than Deion Sanders, but there's a huge human element to this. And the public service announcement that Deion gave when it comes to cancer screening and bladder cancer in particular, that is to be applauded because that is something that most people that suffer with that issue are embarrassed about. And Deion made light of it in order to bring awareness to it. But saying that him and his grandchild are in the same boat in terms of depending on diapers,
that's an endorsement deal.
As he learns to deal with his neobladder, like that is courage in a way that I'm not sure many people appreciate. There's always this bravado, this perception of who Deion Sanders is, but what we saw yesterday was substantive in a meaningful way. To be able to have a press conference with his medical team and be vulnerable in that way and consciously or unconsciously give people permission to live their truth and to actually seek out the medical attention to, avoid being in, a terminal situation when it comes to this type of diagnosis. I thought that was incredible. And this is just the evolution of the man in Deion Sanders. And when you're talking about cancer, it all of a sudden brings everything into focus, discussing somebody's mortality. It has a different type of gravity to it. And when I sat back and thought about it, I thought about my childhood. I thought about my adolescence. I thought about what it meant to be a young adult, and now as a middle-aged man. And I'm just sitting here thinking about Deion Sanders and what he's meant to me. Mm-hmm. We don't have a lot of examples of accomplished, self-assured, well-spoken black men in America. All right? We don't. Like, I know everybody said we had a black president. Shout out to Barack Obama. But just thinking about Deion Sanders being in the public sphere from the 80s to the 90s to the 2000s to now, throughout all of my life, I had this example that showed me, hey, you can be accomplished, you can be confident, you can be swaggy. You don't have to conform to whatever the norms of the space that you exist. You don't have to do that. You can be yourself. You can take where you're from with you. And where you're from is actually going to empower you. That's what I felt yesterday in watching Deion Sanders. It was a sense of pride. Not in just how he handled it, but who he is and what he meant to me in my development as a man. Mm-hmm. So shout out to Coach Prime. I mean, he's a Hall of Fame athlete, but he's a Hall of Fame man too. And yesterday was just the latest example of it.
That was really well said, Cece. That was really powerful. And you're right. Coach Prime does set an example in so many ways. He gives you the permission of authenticity. He gives you the permission to be yourself and be unapologetic about who you are. And for someone who is such a big figure and who commands every room he walks into, and someone who garners so much attention publicly, whether he seeks it out or not. I thought it was very indicative of the person he is, and more importantly, the father that he is undergoing something that is so severe and that is probably so scary. And he does not want his kids to know, because he does not want to detract from this moment in their lives. He knows how close he is with his children, and that if they knew that he was enduring this at that time, it would, in effect, shift the joy that they were feeling in a process that they have earned. And I just thought that was so remarkable and really just showcased who he is as a person and as a father. And thank goodness that he was getting checked. Thank goodness that he is okay. And just like we spoke about earlier a couple months ago with Alonzo Mourning, and now with Deion Sanders echoing those sentiments, make sure that you're going to the doctor. Make sure that you're getting checked up. Do not be too important to go. Everybody needs to be checking themselves up and making sure that their health is in order, because there are people out there that really care about you and that they need you to be okay.
One quick add-on. Shout out to Randy Moss.
Yes.
Because Deion Sanders said yesterday that Randy Moss called him constantly during this, and Randy Moss just beat cancer himself. I shared a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, during V Foundation Day, that my closest friend is currently battling cancer and going through chemo as it goes on here over the next few weeks. It's like, all right, you think you reach out enough until you hear about Randy Moss, and you're like, okay, I need to do more. I need to do better. Like what? Because like if you don't have it and you know somebody who does, like Randy did with Deion, being there for the person also obviously is vital through all of it. So tough day all around. As CC said beautifully, Deion can lift the spirits, and he has done so. Again, no easy way to transition, but I do want to tell everybody about the great people at ZipRecruiter, Itai and company, who I know probably echo those sentiments that CC just provided. You've probably heard of speed dating, but what if there was something similar for hiring, especially if you're running a growing business? There is Zip Intro from ZipRecruiter. You can post a job today and talk to interested qualified candidates tomorrow. Simply select a time, and Zip Intro finds and schedules qualified candidates for you. Then you can choose who you'd like to connect with and meet great people through back-to-back video calls starting as soon as the next day. Try it free. ZipRecruiter.com/USL. The ZipRecruiter.com/USL.
The traditions. The rivalries. The drama.
Every week there was something magical.
This is the most wide open college football season we've had ever.
25 days until week 1 kicks off. College football lives here. ESPN Radio.
Carmen and Yurko.
Building off that bourbon analogy, like obviously when I put it in my barrel, it's not going to be ready in 6 months. Right. To Chris's point, like you can go into the Rick House, take the bunghole out. What? That's what it's called.
What?
That's what it's called. You can taste the whiskey.
Oh, he's tasting it now.
Are there people that go right from the hole?
Yes.
Get Carmen and Yurko podcast at your favorite pod place or on the ESPN Chicago app. Carmen and Yurko, weekdays noon to 3, ESPN Chicago.
The foundation of Little Village is working every day to support small businesses and entrepreneurs right here in Chicago's Southwest Side. From cultural neighborhood preservation to bilingual entrepreneurial workshops and resources aimed at helping local businesses begin and thrive. The foundation of Little Village is building a stronger, united Little Village and beyond. Get involved or donate today. Visit lvcfchicago.org and be part of the path forward for local business.
Our local hospitals are the heartbeat of our communities, delivering critical care every hour of every day for everyone, training the next generation of caregivers. Beyond the walls, their benefit to the community is everywhere, driving the local economy and supporting local organizations, initiatives, and neighbors. Illinois Hospitals, healing communities. Learn more at team-iha.org. Sponsored by the Illinois Health and Hospital Association. Aired in cooperation with the Illinois Broadcasters Association and this station.
My husband is a veteran, and he was injured in the line of duty.
It happened while I was deployed to Iraq. We were stopped at a checkpoint, and then all of a sudden, there was a loud explosion. An IED detonated 3 feet from my face.
It was bad.
I remember thinking, who's going to take care of my wife and daughter?
We took care of each other, with a lot of help from DAV.
When America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
I don't know what we would have done without them.
DAV was the voice that we didn't have.
Every year, DAV helps more than 1 million veterans like Jason
get the life-changing support and benefits they've earned so they can achieve more victories.
It wasn't easy, but he never gave up.
My victory is knowing my disability doesn't define me.
He's an inspiration.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
Waddle.